I'll keep it short-ish. Shabbat shalom, everyone. The first clue was the number. The Israelites are moments away from Revelation, camped at the foot of the mountain, about to receive God's word. V'hayu nechonim layom hashlishi, let them be ready for the third day. For on the third day, God will come down in the sight of all the people on Mount Sinai. 3 days to prepare, to purify. 3 days of anticipation before radical transformation. But 3 days means so much more. The number is a bridge, the connective tissue linking this moment with others. There are many, but I'll offer you 3. For 3 days, Abraham walked side by side with the son he intended to kill. On the third day, they climbed the mountain, and only when the knife was suspended in midair, aimed at the bound boy, did Abraham hear the voice that commands life over death. For 3 days, Jonah, the reluctant runaway prophet, languished in the belly of the fish. On the third day, he prayed, reawakened to the purpose of his life. What could have been his grave becomes the site of his rebirth. He journeys on to Nineveh. For 3 days, Esther fasted in preparation for her uninvited encounter with the king. With the fate of her people hanging in the balance, she understands what the moment demands. If I am to perish, I shall perish. Between life and death is the choice to live life courageously. 3 days is a textual ellipsis. The 3 dots that beg the question, what will come next? How will you finish the story? Abraham, Jonah, Esther, each at the pivotal moment of a fateful choice, the crossroads between a life of purpose and a purposeless life. In our sacred text, 3 days is the liminal frame by which we are asked the ultimate question, posed best by Mary Oliver. What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Which brings us back to the 3 days at the foot of Mount Sinai. 3 days that plant into the heart of every Israelite present the awareness that there is a radically different life on the other side of Revelation, that although they are free from Pharaoh, they are still sleepwalking in the wilderness. Now comes the moment to choose. Will you embrace life in its fullness or retreat from it? We often tell the story of Matan Torah, of giving of the Torah, as one of eager acceptance. Naaseh v'nishma, we're in. Even if we don't fully understand what we're being asked to do, we're committed. And there is truth to that story, but it's not the whole story. Alongside eager acceptance is overwhelmed uncertainty. Because a full-throated yes to life is actually quite daunting. Listen to the language used by the Torah to describe the people's reaction to the moment of revelation on this fateful third day. Upon hearing the voice of God, vayanu'u v'yamdu merachok, they shuddered, moved, and stood at a distance. Commenting on these words, the Mechilta, the Midrash, describes the scene as follows. When God speaks the first commandment, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Israel, of Egypt, the people tremble and flee. That would be a very different Torah, don't you think? The people tremble and flee. They retreat 12 kilometers away from the mountain, the whole length of the camp. There they are, huddled as far away from the mountain as they can get, overwhelmed by the encounter. So the Holy One, the Midrash continues, says to the angels, go down, help your brothers. So the angels take the hands of the frightened Israelites and walk them back to the foot of the mountain. And this scene, remarkably, happens not just once, but after every one of the 10 commandments. God speaks, the people recoil and flee, and the angels accompany them back to their place 10 different times. I'll quickly answer the question I know you're all wondering, all that walking back and forth, 329,739 steps. Okay. All right. What's going on? What is going on? What is so overwhelming about this experience that the Israelites are literally running away from this covenantal moment? The simplest answer, perhaps the one most implied by the text itself, has to do with the sensory overload of revelation. The thunder and lightning, the fire and the cloud, the blare of the horn, the intensity of God's voice. And once again, this may be part of the story, but it's not the whole story. Exodus Rabbah, another midrash, suggests that there's something else going on. It's told in the form of a parable. There was once a moneylender who filled his pocket with gold coins and stood calling out, "Whoever wishes may come and borrow." Everyone heard him and fled, thinking, when he comes to reclaim his debt, who will be able to stand, to bear it? So too, God came down to Sinai to give the commandments and prevent the world from falling apart, and the people shuddered. And why these tremors? Because God spoke words of life. To paraphrase Aviva Zornberg, the fear of revelation of God's voice is a fear of life itself. The demands, the aspirations of a life well lived. What if I borrow the gold coins, but don't live the kind of life that enables me to repay them when my time is up? What if I waste this wild and precious life? I want my life to be meaningful. I want to contribute, to give back, to choose life, but I'm scared of failing, of thinking that life is a gift when in fact it's a loan. So we flee. We run away from the words of life, the demanding, beautiful, heartbreaking, heart-making project of living life to its fullest. We run away from the mountain, again and again, too frightened to let the words and their purpose sink in. We bury this consciousness, too scared to hold ourselves to the standard we aspire to. We choose to sleepwalk when we could be soaring. But it's not just a commitment to purposeful life that we retreat from. It's love. We run away from love. God comes down the mountain, the intimacy of proximity, and the Israelites are overwhelmed, frightened, retreating. In the face of generous love, they shut down. And I understand it. It's scary to be loved, to be seen while trembling. So we steel ourselves. If I let less love in, I'll keep the pain at bay. If I let less love in, I won't need to love as fiercely in return. It is natural. It is understandable. It is human nature to retreat from the risks of love and the demands of goodness. But it is not inevitable. Because, and I hope you'll believe me when I say this, because there are angels who will walk us back to the foot of the mountain every time we run away. Angels who will hold your hand and remind you that you are capable of greatness, of choosing life again and again, capable of giving and receiving expansive, generous love. Take us back to the mountain, painfully aware of why we flee, but recommitted to love and life. From there, we'll say, Na'aseh v'nishma. I'm in, and I'll try, and I'll do my best, and I'll fall short, and I'll try again, learning always that life asks for nothing less than courage. Shabbat shalom.